What I want to do is take a look at this replay. This is your most recent ranked loss. And I want to use this as an example of a way that we can almost mathematically identify weaknesses. And it's going to be a little bit of tough love, I think you may find. If this gets really high and this stays very low, right? Then we have identified a broader issue in our play where perhaps we need to play a little bit more observant and a little bit more grounded. You are finding yourself in unfamiliar situations because every time you finish a combo, it's going to be the same finish. Every time you drop a combo, it's going to be a different drop. You're going to be scrambling just like they are. Can we land more anti-airs, right? And you're going to see that asking yourself this question influences your play in a very positive way. Combo ends, they push block me out. I'm out here, I wait a second, now they jump. Now I get my anti-air. But if you never have that moment where you take just a second to let them make a mistake, you're never gonna get that anti-air. And since you're not anti-airing, right, you never take that second, right? So it's kind of this like feedback loop. Yeah, exactly. Where you never end up in a position to take advantage of somebody's mistakes because you're so worried about doing what you're trying to do. I feel like just with this, we're almost at like maximum capacity for what our brain is able to focus on during the match. By trying to learn like 3 or 4 things, we might actually learn nothing. Hey, how you doing, sir?
Hey, good.
Good to hear. So talk to me, how've the games been going?
They were going well. It's mostly just sort of trying to keep in mind what we talked about last time, like the sort of posturing. I know we had talked a bunch about like incorporating some 2x stuff, and then you and I talked separately about some freestyle stuff. So I went back to freestyle, and like I'm trying to get. I'm pretty much reacclimated to where I was before, and yeah, like we're up to Plat 1 now.
Okay, cool. Cruising.
Yeah, cruising. It's been pretty. Haven't hit a whole bunch of turbulence yet, but I'm still feeling that kind of like aimlessness that I was talking about last week.
I think we can handle that this week. So where did you start last week, out of curiosity, rank-wise?
Gold 1.
Gold 1. Okay, so we went up to 1 full rank up. That's good. We're getting there, but we got more work to do. Before we start, is there anything that in particular that you've been working on and struggling with, so I can have that in my mind while we work? And then I have a replay that I want to take a look at from you.
Okay.
But we can look at anything else if you'd like. So first and foremost, anything on your mind, game-wise in general?
No, just I think a big focus of mine has been like I was saying, like I've been really trying to focus on like movement, like kind of trying to be aware of like where I'm positioning myself, and then just like incorporating more and more use of my assists. Handshake tag has been actually something that like I've started noticing. The more I use, the more I win.
Yep. So what I want to do is take a look at this replay that you played the other night. This is your most recent ranked loss.
Yeah.
And I want to use this as an example of a way that we can almost mathematically identify weaknesses. And it's going to be a little bit of tough love, I think you may find. So let's get into it. I'm just going to watch this replay. I'm going to skim through it. But here's what I'm going to do while I skim through it. What I'm going to do is I'm going to keep my eye out for certain opportunities. And these opportunities are, we're going to call them good handshake opportunities, and we're going to say good handshakes, right? We're going to look for anti-airable jumps, right? This is different from like anti-air opportunities where all I needed to do was press my 2H. This is just to say this is a jump that if I had been in position for, I could have gotten the anti-air for. Here's how many anti-airs we got. We're also going to look for combos we started, combos we finished. Okay, so with this, what I'm actually talking about is like I land a clean hit or a clean-ish hit of some variety, and that combo actually makes it all the way to its intended conclusion. Okay, meaning like it gets the knockdown, it gives us the oki that we're looking for, right? And I'm gonna say unbursted because I'm not gonna knock you for not finishing a combo if they burst the combo. It's just not fair. This makes sense?
Yeah.
Ready. Let's go. Not on my watch.
For combos that we started, I'm talking about, like, this is good. I'm also specifically talking about like combos that can end in Oki. So like this is good to get this confirmed over here, but I'm talking about like I have a medium starter or a light starter or 2H starter or something like that.
Yeah, I'm with you.
Oh. Now they mark 1, right? What we're looking for here, and I'm not saying that it's a bad idea to do this jump, okay? It is, but that's not what I was saying. What I'm saying is this guy, if we had stayed on the ground right here, if we had just observed him for a brief moment, right, we would have had this anti-air. Now, the way that you want to think about this is not, I shouldn't have jumped here, or I should never try to jump and go for anti-airs, because these things, like, they are important facets of the game. However, if this gets really high and this stays very low, right, then we have identified a broader issue in our play where perhaps we need to play a little bit more observant and a little bit more grounded, because this is typical of like Plat players. They're getting comfortable moving around the screen, right? You and also your opponent. And one of the things they're going to look to do is use their air mobility to come in on you. In other words, motherfuckers is going to be jumping a lot, right? And we want to take advantage of that. If they're going to give us the game, let's just allow them to give us the game.
Let's take it.
This is something I noticed a lot. I am going to make like a little like miscellaneous notes down here, right? If we have our assist up, let's call it when we do S1, S1, right? And here's why. This here is an opportunity for us to be using our assists a little bit more, because if I'm Caitlyn, right, and I throw this shot, if they do get hit, you know, I get this super, right, which is cool. But if they happen to jump, I can be kind of fucked, right? Because I like, you know, this happens to me, okay? And also, I'm not maximizing value off this. So one way that we can maximize the value off this a little bit more is to just call Warwick when we do this first shot. Something like this, right? And then I'm gonna call my second shot, and tag Warwick. Now I actually get a pickup. Okay? So this is an opportunity for us to get a lot more damage off the shot that we just got on that echo. Does that make sense?
Yes, yeah.
And then finally, you know, if she does happen to jump on me, right, and I do the same thing, right? So just having Warwick on the screen is helpful, even if it doesn't help us pick up the combo. Moving right ahead. The other reason this jump is no good is because, like, you have the trap on the ground, right? So we can look to, like, sort of, like, cover the air by being like this. How do I say this? A lot of Plat players are going to give you the game just by you existing on the screen and being a scary person that has buttons that can hurt them, right? But furthermore, right, we have this trap on the screen, on the ground. This is making him want to jump, right? So, like, if he jumps, you know, we can be a little bit more prepared for it. We have a reason to believe he's going to jump, so let's see if he does, right? And if he doesn't, that's fine. You know, he plays behind the trap. Now we have our assist that's coming up. Like, this is all good, but also we're 5 seconds into the game, so we don't need to be making big bets like this. It's a big bet without an assist. Luckily, it pays off. But this is what I mean by there are, like, good decisions and there are right decisions in fighting games. And this was a right decision because it worked out, but I don't necessarily think that we can count it as a good decision. There's where we could have had that Warwick call. Go. Another situation where we're jumping up. Now this, I'm not going to call an anti-airable jump. Why? Because he threw this timelander, right? So, like, in this case, we kind of need to be using our ground movement around here to bait the time winder out, and then, like, you can jump in over it and call Warwick or whatever. I'm not really too worried about that. Time winder's a strong tool. Another thing, I'm just gonna tally this as I see them, okay? Because one of the notes that we had in our last session, right, was that we were gonna try to push block. People hit us or retreating guard, right? So I'm looking out for that.
Take time.
This right here. This is a good position for you. Jump back, I throw the trap, I call a Warwick, right? Now Warwick's in, you know? And I like that you dash up and get this pressure as Caitlyn, right? But this is the first of these opportunities where we should really be using this handshake. Because you're on freestyle, right? You can like do like medium S1, tag Warwick, go for overhead. You know, if it hits, good. If it doesn't, then we can come in with Caitlyn. Right, so I'm looking for these opportunities to handshake and seeing how many that we don't take advantage of. This is why. Retreating guard here doesn't help us really so much with this move, but it does like put a little bit of space between us and him. That makes it slow. At a high level, what this does is it puts a little bit of space between us and him, so this rapid slash, we have a little bit more time to react to. The other thing we can do is, you know, right now, believe it or not, we can push block even though our assist is just now up, and this rapid slash would whiff in front of us.
We've got a bunch of moves in the game, a few different characters at this point in the roster. How do I determine what is and is not a good like move when I'm defending? Like how do I phrase this?
When to push block?
When do I push block? Yeah.
Okay.
All the time? Like, are there specific moves you're looking for? And like, if so, like, what are the criteria that need to be met to like really say like, yeah, this is where we should push block right now?
This is a great question. Okay. At a high level, there is time when you want a retreating guard versus when you want to push block. In general, people are retreating guarding mid-screen because the retreating guard actually does something. You go backwards, whereas in the corner, you don't. Okay. And in the corner, you push block, right? And you push block, a good time to do it is when my opponent presses a medium or a heavy on my block. Because these moves, like the difference between like, if you push block a light, right? There are a lot of downsides to it. One, they may be doing like some sort of stagger pressure, and so they actually bait your push block because by the time you press push block, you're already out of block stun. But that's like too high level, okay? That's too high level. The good time to push block for you is anytime this medium or a heavy hits my block, and the reason is the move after a medium is probably going to be a heavy, which has a good amount of recovery, and the move after a heavy is probably going to be a special, which has a good amount of recovery. Okay, and the recovery frames on push block, like who ends up as more plus, right, is largely dependent upon how long their next move took. Right? So let's take a look in training mode again. Let's talk about how we can turn push block into something that feels like we are earning an advantage as opposed to something that feels like we're just trying to survive a little bit longer. Okay. Let's talk about our options. We can push block the light. Actually, and it's really hard to push block the light, so it's kind of not viable, right? I can't even do it if I'm trying. I keep like accidentally flying Warwick, or by the time I push block, I'm push blocking the medium, right? So you don't even try because it's too fast, right? If they stagger pressure, they do something like this. Right, a lot of times what'll happen is you'll try to push block the light, and then you'll push block in that gap. Your assist will come out, and now you're getting happy birthday. Okay.
Yeah.
But instead of thinking about all that, I just want you to think about, I'm trying to push block a medium or a heavy. The moment that medium hits my block, I'm push blocking, right? And now I'm out, right? Whereas if I tried to push block one of the lights, like all that bad stuff could have happened, right? And then furthermore, I'm out, and I'm somewhere between -1 and -3. Depending on my push block time, right? I could also push block the heavy, right? And now I'm plus. I push block that heavy. Why? Because that special has a lot of recovery, right? So both of these cases are cases where I'm not going to get a punish right? Because I'm plus 8, right? But that's like way too far away. Like this move is 10 frames, this move's 11 frames, and both of those moves are out of range. Right? So there's just no way that I'm gonna be able to get a punish on this. But what I do get is pressure, especially if I'm playing freestyle, right? Okay, I want to push block that medium or that heavy. Let's try with the medium. Gunshot. Paul Warwick, right? So this is a powerful situation for me, right? And they're giving it to me by attacking my block. I don't necessarily have to punish the move that they do after, but I can turn it into my advantage. And since you're playing freestyle, I'm setting traps up. Does that make sense?
Doing whatever. Yeah, it does make sense.
So it's not so much about like I don't need you to have an incredible idea of what you're going to do afterwards. I just want you to have like something that you like to do with both your characters when the push block comes. And once you develop that, push block will become a lot more what's the word, appealing for you to do during your matches. That makes sense?
Yeah. I think there's a bit of like resource awareness that I'm lacking that makes this like important to focus on. And also I think while I am playing, a lot of my focus regarding my assist use is for like offense, and like I have this like hesitation to use my assist for defense, like prior to this conversation, right? Like you push block, they're full screen, and now we're just like back to neutral.
And now you don't have an assist, right? And it feels bad.
Right. Yeah, exactly.
Yep. This is what I mean by it'll be more appealing for you to push block once you have a plan for afterwards. Okay. Yeah. For now, you can try to push block as much as you want. And if the assist doesn't happen to be up, it's not like you're going to get punished for it. And if it does happen to be up, if it does happen to be up, you know, we have a plan. This is respectable right here. Make sense?
Yeah.
Okay.
It does.
Another guiding principle here is, and this is where it gets a little complicated. You can try to retreating guard mid-screen until you feel like you're really in trouble, and then you can push block. So like something like this, you know, I might actually be able to make move miss without using push block, and then potentially get a punish there. Sometimes you can get a punish, sometimes you can't. It's really hard, right? And so this is how it ends up looking, right? I'm retreating guarding, now I'm really fucked and I want to get the push block. Right, I'll show that again. I'm retreating guarding, now I push block because I feel like I'm really pressured. Now he's got the clone out and I don't want to deal with it. But until you start doing it, you're not going to find situations where you like to do it.
Yeah, no, I feel you there.
Where were we? Here we were. This is where I was like, you know, you push block here, and this rapid slash would actually whiff in front of you. This is like a great situation for you to be in because this is one of the rare instances where you do get a punish. Neither here nor there. We get hit. All good. This is another situation where we could have, you know, potentially gotten out. You know this is parryable, right?
I don't.
Okay. Cool. I'll make a note of things to show in training mode. I am taking a note here. I want you to remember this moment where walking around and we do this flip. Don't overthink it. Just remember that. No, the bug with the horrible noise is here. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna basically turn the game almost all the way down. So moving along, we have to think about ranges at which we want to hit our normals. Okay, And by that, what I mean is, if we're gonna mash is where we would have won if it was a light. Okay. What you do here is you're like, I don't like this position, so I'm going to mash on defense. And there's actually nothing wrong with that in a broad sense, to be limit testing and trying to like poke out of block strings and pressure. However, if we're going to do it, we can't be using our mediums because they're too slow. Right? I think that if you hit jab here, you might have even hit. Yasuo has a hurt box that's kind of behind him when he's doing this move.
Okay.
And so you can hit him if you're fast enough. And he would have been like here. You had done light instead. So light would have saved us. Okay. So yeah, it most likely would have hit both. And in fact, this is another thing that I noticed when you played. You don't use your lights at all in like navigating around the screen, and this is the moment to use them. Like this is one of the moments to use them. If I'm gonna try to mash out of pressure, I'm gonna mash that light. Let me let my cat out of the room. Come on, dude. They want to be in here before I start recording, and I don't want to kick them out because now I'm busy. You know, it's like, all right, whatever. You'll let me know when you want to go out. If I try to rally cats before the session, I'll be 5 minutes late every time. It's another one of those situations where, like, in this case, you block it out and it's fine, but push block. So we're already up to 2 of these. I haven't, I didn't count the first one, but now I know we're trying to practice this new combo, right? But my question for you is, would it be easier to just like S1 super with Warwick and take our damage?
Just take damage.
You know, potentially if we're on double down, we can just get the kill with Caitlyn, right? I mean, if I see a freestyle, then we can talk about whether we're getting the value out of the fuse or not. But right now I am seeing this. I've got this pressure with Warwick on block. And I'm not even handshaking Caitlyn now. Right? Like she's here. She's here to help. She's got the gun. So let's get her in, right?
Yeah.
So let's come back up to here. Take opportunities. Go back up to. Okay. Did I miss any jumps in the meantime? I don't think so. Not any good anti-airable ones, because this one has the time winder behind it. Blah, blah, blah. I know your dash macro is not working, right? But here's the reason that you're not getting your anti-airs, right? And the reason is you're committing to options like this the moment that you have the space to do it. You've got the screen, you've got your assist. You don't need to commit to this big ass thing. And if you do, you might as well throw the Caitlyn assist out too, right? Because right now you're playing Juggernaut Warwick, right? But what it would, you know, good to see. This is what I'm talking about, posturing. So you're in the right position on the screen, but posturing doesn't mean get there and then go crazy. It means like be willing to sit here for a second to see if they do something that you can take advantage of. And you'll see that like play out over the course of this game.
Okay. Yeah.
I'm not going to count that as a combo. The combo we started. My point with this is like, how many combos are we not finishing that we're starting? And this one,
Right.
You know, we don't know whether that would have all the way. You're working on calling your assist more. Here's a great opportunity to use it. Basically, rule of thumb, anytime you're doing this move, call the assist too. Because like the situation is so good. If you call the assist now, you miss with this, right? But Caitlyn comes out and is probably shooting him about now or now. And even if it's on block, now you've got this sandwich situation in your freestyle. So this move is this is a good selection in this situation, but it's missing the piece of the puzzle that makes it strong.
Okay.
Does this look familiar?
Yeah, another one of those situations where I probably would have won if it was a light.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, cool. So you're starting to take note. Good. Skip right ahead. Okay.
You tell me that. You tell me that, coach.
Okay. There we go. There we go. Oh no. Or what? So is your intent? What's your talk to me? Because there's a sometimes good reasons to end the combo like that, and there's sometimes not. So talk to me about why we did that ender.
It's a Warwick thing, I think, for me. I've really only like in my head with the combo uh the combos that I know, all of my Warwick combos, and generally whenever I get to that point in a route, and with forward S2, which throws them by my head, and I was thinking, well, I'm so close to the corner right now, like I don't want to just like lose that positional advantage, and I don't have Caitlyn with me to like turn it back around.
Yep.
Like so I was like, okay, well, let's just end it and
Yep.
try to like react to like, how they tech, and maybe
Okay.
I can like chase it and throw them back into the corner if they roll past me, or if they roll backwards, I can kind of chase them into the corner.
Sure.
That's what I was trying. That's what I'm thinking about in my head.
That makes sense to me.
I'm not very good at it though.
No, that makes sense to me. That makes sense to me. However, so instead of like being like, okay, this is a combo that you didn't get the good knockdown on, right? I'm gonna say if you do want to do this as Warwick and you don't want a super, right? Try to decide in the air if you want a super, and then instead of doing this knockdown, you can do like the S2 thing in the air.
Oh yeah.
Right? And what that's doing is it's building you blood.
Mm-hmm.
As opposed to doing this. However, for you as a player, if I want to see like quick rank ups and success in matches, take the damage when you can get it. And I would pick him up and I would throw him over my shoulder and I would do the down S2 into the S1 super. Why? Because like it gives me Oki just like this does. And you're not like taking advantage of the corner is good. And given the choice between corner and not corner, all other things being equal, take the corner, right? But when you're learning, it's difficult to take full advantage of what the corner offers. And so I'm thinking I want the damage now, right? Especially if, say, I'm on double down and I can, go like super as Warwick and super into Caitlyn as well. And the reason I keep bringing up double down is because I haven't seen a freestyle. Yeah, I think we get one in this game though. But it's part of like a canned sort of sequence. This is another one of those instances where it feels like, fuck, man. Like, what am I supposed to do against this move? Even though you didn't have your assist here, and I could nitpick about like doing this move as opposed to like the overhead or this is where you want to do like run pressure, right? Because like earlier in the game, you did medium heavy on block and you did S1 into like flip kick, went for an attack here, but you had your assist up, and I was like, man, it kind of would have been nice to see like overhead or this low into the assist, right? But now we don't have our assist up, and now's the perfect time to try to reset pressure with the run and the flip. Whether we commit, but okay, that's not what I want to focus on. What I want to focus on is we're push blocking here. We're not getting hit here.
Yeah.
That makes sense?
Yeah.
something I want you to come away from the session with, part of like a checklist that I'm developing for all my new players. Anytime I push block or break, because they basically give me the same situation, before I handshake, I want to be doing something with Warwick.
Okay.
Right? Unless there's some really good reason not to. And in this case, what Warwick can do is he can come up and he can do, you know, in the corner, it's really strong because Warwick actually, in this moment here, can actually just like hit Echo with a medium heavy, and then you just have the situation where Caitlyn's like on the screen ready to help. By handshaking immediately, in most cases, for other fuses, we end our pressure fully. For you, we're just not taking, we're only taking like 60 to 70% of the value as opposed to 100%. What's your Caitlyn B&B? Like when you land this clean medium.
Well, if I'm thinking with my head, I guess it depends. Like, there's two. There's one where if I launch them with like, so both routes go into 2H. If they're on the ground, like, and I don't knock them up into the air with a 2M, I can like jump up into the air, charge a heavy, like knock them back onto the ground, shoot them up again. Like,
Okay.
I can
So
do the full.
I'm not what a that's the Caitlyn B&B, right? But that's not your Caitlyn B&B. I'll believe that's your Caitlyn B&B when you hit it. So what?
Yeah, Caitlyn combos to me are difficult. They're just really difficult. And I feel like maybe this is just a lack of awareness on my part, but I feel like they're really situational, and I drop them all the time. And I have not really found anything like really clean that like I always hit all the time everywhere. And I've started developing this autopilot, as you see here in front of you, where I just kind of go in a charge shot and hope that I can like pick
It's going
them
to
up
super or
on
something.
the wall slump or like the wall bounce or something, and like
Yeah.
into the air, like pop them back down with a bowl or something. Like that's about it.
Yeah. So there's a couple of options you have here, right? And as far as the Caitlyn corner route, I have one. It's too complicated for you, and so I'm gonna find like a simpler one. But in the meantime, if we're unsure of what we can do, handshake Warwick here. Hitting with Caitlyn, bop, bop, bop. You know, like as soon as I hit that medium heavy, I can like bring Warwick in.
Right, because I'm freestyle and I can do that.
Yes, exactly. So I'm gonna count that as a good handshake. I'm also gonna count this as a combo we started and a combo that we didn't finish.
No man, that count is getting bigger, huh?
Yeah, because even if he doesn't burst here, you're not getting anything off that shot, right?
Not really.
Same situation. We've seen this before. The trap's on the ground. Yasuo wants to jump over the trap, and we throw ourselves into him. And this time, it doesn't work out for us. And eventually, he's, you know, that player is going to be good enough to confirm that. Let's counter up with one. If we're gonna mash, gotta be our light.
Gotta be light. Yeah, I'm seeing some patterns here.
Not much you can do about this one, though. Although, how do I phrase this? This guy has not demonstrated an ability yet to punish me for rolling through him. Right? And so, you know, when Yasuo pulls up to me like this is why strong players roll, is because they recognize that now that Yasuo is on top of me, if I roll forward, there's no way that he can possibly be hitting me from the left side. So I can roll forward this way, right? And I can hold down back. By rolling backwards, right? All it's doing is it's allowing him to do his pressure a little bit more easily, and he's not chain dashing here, right? He's not like hitting another dash right at this moment that will like autocorrect and chase you over this way. He's just hoping you don't roll, right? So what I'm gonna do here is I'm gonna say with forward roll more. I'm gonna coalesce all of this into like actionable shit for you at the end. Right now I'm just taking like a bunch of notes. Whatever. Not even gonna wait and see what happens. At least we tried. You know?
Try.
We'll count that. You know why you're too slow though? Because you don't put yourself in the position enough to practice it. Right? Like, yeah, it's inexperience with anti-airs, even though your opponent is giving you the opportunity to practice, basically. Right? And so the more that you, even though you tried here, I'm still going to count it as a jump, as an anti-air you didn't get, because you could have had it, you know? Fitting. This is never a good block string, right? Because like if you do this 3H and it gets blocked, you can't cancel into the overhead. And if you do the 3H and it hits, the overhead doesn't give you anything. It fucks the combo up.
Yeah,
right.
Go into charge flip, right?
Yeah, charge down S1. We'll do it. But that was what you were doing. That was the route you were going for, right?
Maybe. I can't really tell you.
Probably was, and we probably had like a mistake in our execution. But whether it's a mistake in our execution or it's a misunderstanding or inexperience with what combo route we want to do, I still care that it's a dropped combo, because what I'm doing here's the way to think about this. So the way to think about this is kind of like people in this game are kind of like Pokemon.
Oh,
right?
I saw this in, yeah. I know.
Yeah. And like what I'm trying to see is, let's say that this arrow is like hit confirms, right? This is like hit, right? We don't know where our weaknesses are. Maybe our weaknesses are more on like anti-airs, right? Which is tied heavily to positioning, right? And we don't know where our weaknesses are, but by analyzing a replay like this, we can see, oh, they jumped 6 times and I got 0 anti-airs. So therefore my anti-airs are here, right? And I hit I started a combo 7 times and 6 of them turned into complete combos, right? So maybe my hit confirms and my combos are like up here, right? And that tells me I need to work on my anti-airs, right? As like the primary thing I need to buff. With you, when you take a look at a replay like this, and there are a lot of various opportunities to improve, what you're going to do is you're going to take a look at this chart afterwards, and you're going to pick one of them or 2 of them to focus on, because you can't fix it all overnight, right? But by looking at a replay like this, you can figure out where you need to focus your efforts. That was sick. That was sick. This, the combo that we started.
Nice.
And finished.
Escape from Purgatory. I got one.
We did it. We did it, boys. And it was good block pressure.
Nice.
And finished.
Escape from Purgatory. I got one.
We did it. We did it, boys. And it was good block pressure.
Thank you. Yeah, I'm seeing what you meant about tough love in this session.
Yeah, I took a look at this replay and I was like, okay, now I see where we need to focus. This time winder here, like, it's just a big bet. Like, you're not comfortable. It's very clear. And maybe it's because, I'm not going to harp on it too much. Maybe it's because your dash macro was broken. Like, your dash macro, how are you dashing right now? Double tapping or something?
Yeah, double tapping.
Okay, cool. So that needs to get addressed immediately. What I was going to say was you don't appear comfortable with movement. You seem kind of stuck in the mud a little bit, and it's making you do things like this as your movement option, which is making it really difficult to stick on the ground and look for them to make mistakes so that we can take, advantage. But if it's because your dash macro was busted this time, that's whatever. Now that we've got that fixed, it'll be something I'm looking to improve on next session. However, this should still be a light.
Yeah, I got lucky that he windwalled and did not Rabba slash me.
Yep. So I'm actually going to count this, right? Because you should have lost this. Oh, we were so close. And as a new player, right, you might be thinking, well, I could do this into down S2 into the S1 super, right? And I would do a little bit more damage, probably get them to like here instead of here. But either way, it's a one-touch game. So like, what's the big deal if I drop this combo? And the big deal is, for one, knockdown pressure is extraordinarily strong, right? I would rather you did a little bit less damage. This is what people complained about when Warwick came out before people figured out how to route into his Oki. I would rather you did a little bit less damage and landed in a knockdown that you can take advantage of than you do like max damage and you drop the combo at the end and don't get the knockdown. And the other reason why is because it's repeatability. Okay, when you get this knockdown, right, even though you've fucked up this combo, you're still getting Oki, right? You're still on top of him, and you're even still almost meeting him. I mean, in this case, you should have been using light.
Using light, yep.
But like, you still almost meeted him. So like, what's the big deal if I drop that combo and I don't get like the same Oki as if I had done the super? The big deal is repeatability. Okay, when you put your opponent into a situation, you get to see what they do in that situation. And so by continuing to complete your combos, say with Warwick's S1 super mid screen, right, even though it's not as good as being in the corner with some sort of like flubbed knockdown like this, it's still at least a repeatable situation, which lets you begin to build a framework about how that player likes to react, right? You're not going to know if they like to roll forward or backward after a particular knockdown if you don't get that particular knockdown more than one time. Okay, and that sounds like a really complicated prospect, right? Thinking about like, how do I put somebody into the same situation so that I can start getting reads? I don't need you to think about all that stuff. What I need you to think about is having combos that we're comfortable with that we finish, and all the rest of that shit will just come naturally.
Okay, sweet.
This is a combo we started and a combo we finished. However, if you take note, this is a nitpick. This is about your team specifically, right? You probably thought that this could kill. You probably just thought that this could kill, right? I'm not going to harp on it. In this situation, right here, we can do a Caitlyn assist and then get a pickup with Warwick. I mean, you do it as part of your other combo, right?
Yeah, kind of. Yeah.
So like if you want to do, whether you want to do down S2 here, knock them up, get the Caitlyn assist, run over, knock them up. Now you do S1 super, you kill here, or call Caitlyn assist right here. Caitlyn's back assist will shoot here. And I practiced this the other night, that's why I know. And you can go get the pickup on that. Please ignore that feedback. It's true, and you could have killed here. However, it's not feedback that I need you to. There is much more important things to focus on.
Okay. Yeah. Sure. It's still good. It's still good to hear it. I think because, like I was telling you at the beginning of the session, there's
Yeah.
a kind of generic feeling of aimlessness that I'm kind of dealing with. I'm sort of seeing a pattern now that a bit of it is sort of self-inflicted. Like I'm putting myself into like bad or random positions that's not allowing me to like download the information I need to like feel that kind of guidance, I guess.
Exactly. You impose the structure upon the game. And the structure starts simple, right? The structure starts simple. Let me give you a good example of a way to impose simple structure upon the game. You're on double down here, right? As an example, a lot of these times where you're trying to do a complicated Warwick combo or a complicated Caitlyn combo can be made simpler, but just by doing like some simpler combo into super super, and then you get to see how they react after that super super, right? You are finding yourself in unfamiliar situations because every time you finish a combo, it's going to be the same finish. Every time you drop a combo, it's going to be a different drop, and you're going to be scrambling just like they are. After this, I want to talk a little bit more about positioning mid screen and movement and stuff, but we'll get there.
Okay.
Good on you, champion 4612. I did not expect you to get that confirmed.
He's hitting those. He's hitting those.
Great. Sad.
Yeah. Yeah. Another good. Yeah. Yeah.
We're not comfortable. You know? By not comfortable, what I mean is like this down medium is so like fuzzy. So like it's like it's mushy. Because like the options that it beats are so Echo would have to run into it. I don't know. I'm just this is
I can't even pretend to sit here and be like, yeah, that was intentional.
Yeah, well, I mean, like it's kind of intentional in the sense that nothing. It's intentional in the same way that like nothing is intentional at high level. The game is going too fast for you to make like the game is going too fast for pros to make informed decisions after every situation, which is why we do so much replay review. The same is true for you, right? So I'm not saying that this was intentional. I'm just saying that like instead of thinking about was this the right button to press, you know, what I'm thinking is, should I just use my assist? I feel like I'm not getting there for the neutral. The moment I whiffed this button, I feel like I'm on the back foot and I'm not going to continue to box, and I'm just going to like start backdashing a little bit here. You know, because he could wake up, he could jump, I can get an anti-air. I'm hoping for him to do something that like makes it easier for me. Continuing to swing is like not it. Again, not something you need to focus on. That's more for broader audience. I can tell what happened here is that right now you were already mentally committed to doing down S1.
It's like autopiloting.
Yeah, you were already committed to doing the down S1, which actually does sometimes anti-air, but nevertheless, I'm gonna give this. I'm gonna put a little I here because that's like half of one. It's
Okay.
This is a hard one. This is a hard one to be ready for, and you're like just barely in range for the 2H, just barely. You were already sort of mentally committed to something else. And neutral jumps at this range are like notoriously difficult to get the right reaction to. However, you know, I still want to like be considering instances where we could have been a little bit more reactive. Let's fucking go. Let's fucking go. Oh, Peter just freaked all the way out. Did you see that?
Yeah, I saw that a little bit.
Okay. Oh no, we had it. We had it. We had it. And like the difference between this and having Yasuo just like, you know, if you just do S2, S2, S2 and just knock him down in the corner is like so great. You know, that said, this combo is fun. This combo is fun and it looks cool. So if you want to do combos that are fun and look cool, what I'm telling you in this session is not go back to the drawing board, drop all your cool combos, right? What I'm telling you is, as a player, you have the option to do one of three things, okay? Right? Option one, I can...
Oh, no.
Option one, simpler combo, right? Option two, right? I can hit this combo, like practice and hit this combo, right? Option three, I can like, this is option three is like Hakuna Matata, right? And by Hakuna Matata, what I mean is like, you don't have to like spend an hour in training mode hitting this over and over and over again until it's second nature, or 3 hours or however long it takes, right? As long as you're having fun with the game. Like if you're having fun with the game and going for this combo and you get a big rush every time you hit it, then that's awesome. That's fine. And you can stay here in Hakuna Matata. But if you want to improve and start winning, right? Which, you know, there's no wrong answer, but if that's what you want, you got to pick one of these.
Yeah.
Right?
You know, I think I mean like I mean, how many times have I gone for this combo so far in this set? Like
Maybe
3
4.
or 4, something like that, right? I think that there's a need for more practice on my end, period. But I think like I'm not really proving to myself or to you that I can hit even the simple stuff right now. So um
Yeah.
like Hakuna Matata is sweet. Like I know this is what I told you last time. Like the reason why I picked this team was because I just saw that sweet ass combo. It looked really cool. It felt really cool to hit. But like I don't I don't feel a need to like be there right now.
Yeah. And there's also like the other way to think about it is like winning feels good. And this team has a bunch of cool stuff that you're doing that aren't this particular route, right? So like you can either come back to this later, right, and find something that works a little bit more simply, or you know start hitting it. This is a sick one, you know. Even if you only have like 60 or 70% consistency, you know that's good enough, right, to continue ranking up and you know continue winning your games while going for your cool shit. But you know if we're at 0 to 10% consistency, there's got to be some work done.
Yeah, for sure.
Let's go. Okay, cool. So this I was excited to see because you got the handshake that you wanted, which is sick, right? But I could tell that like you're not like comfortable in the follow-up situation, right?
Yeah. I mean, I think, yeah, I wanted to get flip kick into like the overhead, and I just like I
You flipped
saw I
it.
got the sandwich. I saw I got the tag. I saw him flip in the air, and then I was like freaked a bit. I was like,
Exactly, exactly. And so we're gonna go back, right? One of the miscellaneous notes we're gonna have, right, is let's practice our sandwich stuff, right? And by practice, I don't mean you have to be in there forever, right? But like get it into your hand. How do I say this? Set up situations that are powerful sandwich pressure, and I'll show you one after this that you can repeat. You'll be able to repeatedly get it in your matches, and once you get that in your hands, the rest of it will follow easily. Like you'll be able to. This situation is not one where like this is so niche. Like he threw the trap and he dashes. He jumps over Warwick. Like that's kind of difficult to see as a situation that you're going to set up repeatedly. But you'll be able to improvise in a situation like this a lot more easily if you have one situation that you practice over and over again intentionally, so that you're not surprised or confused when you do get the situation later in another context. I'll show you afterwards what I mean.
okay.
Oh,
Oh man.
this is another one of those scenarios where you roll forward, you're out of the mix.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I didn't take the note over the course of this match, but I just want to tell you, this is the only time you blocked on wake up. Every other time you either mashed or jumped, and you got hit a lot of those times, and he didn't delete your health bar because he's also still learning. But eventually we're going to need more of this. And part of the reason you're not blocking on wake up is you don't have push block and retreating guard under your hands, and so that feels like a bigger risk than it actually is. Blocking, actually, if you've got push block, it doesn't feel great. You'd prefer not to do it, but against these players, they're not going to have like anti push block tech ready to go, and so it's actually a pretty powerful option. Let's go with the block. So you know how to block this move. I'll show you afterwards. We can parry that. See, let's see. Let's go!
Let's go.
Count it! Count it!
5%.
Boom! And this is nice. This is good. And now look at the situation you've got. Happened here. This is another one. You're trying to jump, or you're trying to get out, or panic. You just gotta hold it.
Yeah.
Just gotta hold it. This is also kind of risky because like I want to talk now. I don't want to get too in the weeds with the Warwick stuff. I really want to focus on the fundamental stuff, right? But if you do this block string, right? Let's think about how this works. If you do this 3H and it gets blocked, right? You just lose the match. Okay. And if you do it and it gets hit, and it hits rather, this doesn't combo. Right? So so there's like, you basically did this route where there was no winning. And I'm not, so everybody does this all the time, right? But like let's have something in our hands. Blood, and I'm not looking for you to do anything complicated here, but like next time you get this situation, just like go for the 6S1 here, right? Because you're mixing ideas. You're like doing this is like your usual BNB, but you're doing it on block, and then you're supposed to be doing this, and it comes out in a bad situation. That's all fine, right? This sort of stuff, this sort of mistake where like where like you mix two ideas and they mix in a way that like doesn't benefit you, it gets fixed in two ways. Primarily, it gets fixed over time, right? Like you will not do this over time, because you'll begin to realize that it's not a good round. You'll get more comfortable with what you're supposed to be doing. However, you can accelerate how fast you stop to make this sort of mistake by having a plan A, right? And a plan A here could be as simple as like light 6S1, or medium heavy 6S1, or you can do the first hit of the S2 Rekka into 6S1. There's like 1,000 different ways to lead into it, but not this one. And I'm not saying that like you need to have a plan A for every situation in the game, because nobody does, and you're starting out, so like you're gonna have a lot of holes like this. However, this is more of a, here's how I analyze my own replay review, right? If something doesn't work out, how could it have been the case that it ever would have worked out? Although I might be talking out my ass here, because if he doesn't break here, does he wall bounce? Maybe he does. Maybe he does.
I mean, even whether or not you're right, it doesn't really change like the point of what you're trying to get across, I think. Because I like, this is another instance where I can't really tell you that I was being intentional. I just like, I got bloodlusted like with him, like I was like, screw it, I just throw it out the wall.
That's so funny.
No, I'm hearing what you're saying, and it's resonating with me. So
okay, cool. So try to find out what you want to do in this situation, and also find out like, yeah, and then just run it a couple times, so that when you flub it in a match, when, not if, and that's fine, but when you flub it in a match, there's like a little bit of a voice in the back of your head, and it's your own voice telling you, ah, man, that's where I was supposed to do this other thing.
Yeah, right.
Here, though, you got to hold this. Somebody breaks. This is what I was talking about. Remember the first round you broke as Caitlyn on the left side of the screen? And I was like, you could pull up with Caitlyn and put a medium on him and then tag Warwick or whatever. Or no, I was saying you could pull up as Warwick, put a medium on him, and then tag Caitlyn. Because when you get a break like this in the corner, you can be at quite an advantage. This is another one of those instances where, I mean, nothing bad happened to you here, but like when I'm point blank with somebody, like literally like this, and I see that I'm gonna be point blank, this is where the medium has to come out. You got, or sorry, the light.
The light.
Okay, yeah, I mean, what are you gonna do? I don't want to overanalyze this part right here, because like it's kind of difficult to speak like intelligently about it, especially given the fact that like the round is basically over, right? But actually no, because this is winnable. I mean, this is
it is winnable, but like I'm also in like chip territory, and like just like kind of generally frightened at this point. Like I to me, with the mindset that I had at this point, like I had already given up the round, I think.
Yeah, and you had already given up, even though like you're basically one hit away from winning, right? And so like there's two options that you have here, right? You kind of want to posture. This is what I was talking about, posturing, because right here is where you want to play. If you want to play passive, play here, because Yasuo's S1 hits here, but not here, right? And what you're hoping he does is like also panic and try to put like a wind wall up while you are like dashing up, right? So like if I'm here, right, and I'm posturing, and by posturing I don't just mean standing there, I mean I'm like dashing forward, dashing back, dashing forward, dashing back, and kind of staying in the same position and observing. And what I'm hoping for is for him to do something, whether it's a jump that I can anti-air, whether it's he puts up wind wall, and while he's putting up wind wall, I happen to be dashing forward, right? If I'm in the air like this, I can't be threatening dashing forward, right?
Right.
Which is gonna mean that, like, if he does something here, like if he puts up wind wall here, now I do lose, right? So there's like, by going back here, all you're really doing is letting him build the super assist back up. You know, this is where, like, I like this attempt, and you could say that, like, your strategy is, I just want to back up until I get Caitlyn super assist, and that's what she did, and that's fine. And so I'm not like too upset with this, but like, don't be here. Don't be here. You're giving him, like, be here in case he makes a mistake. Does that make sense?
It does make sense.
If he makes he could taunt right now and you couldn't win. You know?
Yeah.
All right, cool. So let's get a little recap. Can you tell me? And I looked at some other. I was playing duos with my friend. It was in a battle. He's not high elo, but we were playing like all these like insanely high elo players, and it was rough. But anyways, we were looking at definitely getting the anti-airs into our hands, right? Definitely finding some routes that we're comfortable finishing. Okay, so let's talk about it. Let's list out all the different options that we have to work on, and then choose something to work on. Right, so here's a little sticky note. So we got a couple things, right?
Yeah.
I'm not going to focus too much on the neutral, because there is stuff that is built beneath the neutral that we're missing, right? Number one, can we land more anti-airs, right? And you're going to see that asking yourself this question influences your play in a very positive way. And by that, what I mean is, oh, I did kind of go on a little lost streak at the end. By that, what I mean is, if I'm jumping around as Warwick, like if my plan as Warwick is like go crazy and let my autopilot take me to victory or to loss, then what's going to happen is I'm going to play out, in the back third of the screen. I'm going to try to do like charge 2s1 and dive kick, and maybe it hits and maybe it doesn't. And if that's the way I'm thinking about the game, and if that's the way I'm having fun, that's fine. If that's the way I'm thinking about the game, though, I'm going to win about 50% of my matches, because I'm just kind of playing hope to XKO, right?
Yeah.
Whereas the moment you start thinking about this, right? Can we land more anti-airs? The moment you start thinking about this, you then, as a result, play more reactively. You play more grounded, because you start to look for these moments where you have opportunities. And what that looks like in training mode is this, right? What you're gonna do is you're gonna pick an option, right? You're out here, right? You're gonna be like, here, I'm gonna jump forward and call my assist. Let's say it doesn't hit, right? It got blocked, right? I pressure for a little while, they push block me out, right? Now I'm out here, right? And then there's a moment, right? There's a moment after they push block me back out, where instead of going immediately into this again, right? Or instead of going immediately into this again, right? I just sit here for a second. Okay, they're not doing anything. Now I go in, right?
Okay, yeah.
Combo's done. They knock me down, right? I push block. Now let's say they hit me with something, right? I push block this. I send Warwick. I try to do something with Caitlyn. Okay, now I don't like the situation. I back out and I just look for like a second, right? There's like little moments of observation where you go like this. Okay, they didn't do anything. Now I go in. Combo ends. I run my Oki. They push block me out. I wait a second. They're not doing anything. Now I go in. Combo ends. They push block me out. I'm out here. I wait a second. Now they jump. Now I get my anti-air. But if you never have that moment where you take just a second to let them try to make a mistake, to let them make a mistake accidentally, rather, you're never gonna get that anti-air. And since you're not anti-airing, right, you never take that second, right? So it's kind of this like feedback loop. Yeah, exactly. Where you never end up in a position to take advantage of somebody's mistakes because you're so worried about doing what you're trying to do. And so what I'm looking for, luckily this problem fixes itself, right? Because if I tell you that the node is, I want you to anti-air at least once every game, right? What will happen is, since you have that as a goal, and you know you don't want to like fail the goal, you will start naturally inserting these moments where after your pressure or whatever, once you get push blocked out or once your pressure ends, now you sit here for a second because you're trying to like check that box off, right? But what it develops is very healthy play. Okay, so that's one thing we want to focus on, right? I need you to push block.
Push block. Yeah.
I need you to push block, right? So, but you're like a smart guy and you're learning quickly. So I need you to push block. Not only, you know, do I need you to push block and have a plan after. Caitlyn, S1 plus tag. And then Warwick, you know, Warwick actually doesn't really have that many great options.
Does his like overhead reach?
Sometimes, and that's what I used to do as when I was playing Warwick and Jinx. What I would do is stuff like this. I would send the overhead, but it just doesn't like get that much. Like it's way easier for Jinx to pick that up because Caitlyn has to like. I was playing Warwick Jinx at the time, and Caitlyn has to like throw the trap, and the OTG is really slow.
Can she forward us too instead?
Let's find out. Yeah, that might be something there. I guess you get to go like forward S2 into this, and then there's like some sort of pickup that you can do there. I'm not really sure.
You can also throw the trap down too.
Right. So that's the kind of combo I need you to be doing, by the way, right?
Okay.
Like, what did I do there? I got the forward S2 as the OTG, and I just went like this medium, heavy. Bop, 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 bop. I can go super, right? If I have double down, I can just get another, you know, not on them out here. Even though I don't get like pressure, I can be doing stuff like this.
Yeah.
Right. Just making it up as I go. But like you're gonna end up in situations like that are more repeatable by finishing the combos. So push blocks and retreating guard, right, and have a plan, right? So you can go with the overhead as Warwick. I like it just because it puts people into block, and then I can pull up as Caitlyn, and I can do like, you know, let's say they are blocking everything, right? And let's say that instead of this assist here with Caitlyn, let's pretend that this was me push blocking them. Okay, so now I'm here, right? You know, I can do something like this, tag Caitlyn. I was trying to roll through, but
yeah, it's tricky. I was playing with this quite a bit on my own. You have to put like a really big delay if you're going to use a heavy before her roll, and then she'll flip.
I see.
Or after the mediums, she rolls like through a lot easier as well. So just either no heavy or like a delay.
I see. Oh, maybe the roll's not the right choice. I just go something like this. You know, whatever.
Right.
People
keep pushing them towards the corner or something.
Yeah, and also because what happens is people at this level, they either mash or they try to like panic and jump away, right? So any one of these little gaps, if you take a look at the frame meter, any one of these little gaps that are on echo are places where they could mash or try to jump away and get hit. And they'll give it to you. They'll give it to you if you can keep the pressure up. They will fuck up. Bonus points. Okay. Want to press lights, not mediums at point blank. The reason this is bonus points is that because actually this is something that's I feel like just with this we're almost at like maximum capacity for what our brain is able to focus on during the match, right? And so by doing more, we might actually, like, by trying to learn like 3 or 4 things, we might actually learn nothing, right?
Right.
But this one's easy. Forward roll sometimes on wake, right? It's just gonna fuck with people more than you think. I get annoyed when people forward roll, right? It's, you know, it's not something that like anybody is immune to. Oh, I'll note this thing right here, this Echo 6S1. You can see there's like this gap between between that 12 and that 14 in my bar.
Yeah, I see it.
And since there's a gap there, I can get this parry, right? Like Caitlyn. So I don't know what you're supposed to do there to end in like limit strike or something like that. But okay, cool. If we have our assist up, okay. Blah. Gonna push block when a medium or heavy hits us. The rest of this stuff I don't really care. I think if you start looking for anti-airs, then you'll be able to like take advantage of other types of mistakes that your opponent is making. And just staying grounded in general, because people will do things like put up wind wall and you're actually like grounded and you're in a position to be able to take advantage of it, as opposed to if you're like out here doing this as Warwick, right? And then extra bonus points, right? Extra bonus points. Have some plan for canned sandwich, right? And by that, what I mean is something like this with Warwick, right? You ended up in this situation one. You can end up in this situation a lot, right? So as Warwick, you're doing this sometimes.
Yep.
And you're just trying to continue pressure as Warwick, but it's very powerful to do that, right? Because it sets you up. Not only can Caitlyn hit them, but also it sets you up, you know.
Yeah, for the all this.
For, you know, for all that stuff, and have something there. And it can be something as simple as this. I just made that up, but like have a plan to go for there. You're not gonna get it because it's too complicated unless you practice it for a long time. But I really do recommend that you practice this situation, because this block string is just so powerful. If they're looking high, the cool thing about this 3H's Warwick is if it hits and I handshake, so let's say that like Caitlyn's out, right? I can get a pickup. So that's something that we can do. But I don't really care about that handshake situation. I don't really care about that freestyle situation. What I care about is this. Whoops. This and this. Right?
Yeah.
So have a route. Have a route with Caitlyn that you're comfortable with. Now, I can't give it to you, but like, even if it's just something like this, right? And there was only one time that we did freestyle, you know, in the whole game. But then you can get like, you know, this at the end. Maybe. Like, is that not hype also? So, you know, we have options here to like push the damage a little bit, but next time that we play, what I'm hoping for is that the combos that we start at least off clean hits here, 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 and here generally end in some sort of knockdown or pressure. And there are teams and players that you can copy, and if you're struggling in like a day, let me know and I can find some stuff. It's a little bit simpler. Okay, so here's our notes. Trying to anti-air at least once every game. We're trying to push block. Trying to forward roll and wake up. The bonus points are we're trying to be a little bit more selective with the range at which we're pressing our mediums. And then also like I need a goal for you to be to improve combo consistency. Either simplify, practice, hella. And remember that Hakuna Matata is an option for you. You do not need to do either of these, but if you're trying to win, if you're trying to improve, if you're trying to get the coaching, this is where you got to go, right? And we saw it mathematically. Okay. Pick 2 of these to focus on. Don't focus on all of these at once. It's too overwhelming. But we have a week till the next session, which means that you can pick 2 of these to focus on. I just DM'd you, by the way. You can pick 2 of these to focus on for like a couple of days. And then if you're feeling good, pick another 2, right? Don't try to fix all this at once, because it's not going to happen all at once. You'll end up learning nothing. That makes sense?
Yeah, it makes sense.
All right, appreciate you, brother. I hope you had a good time. I really did. I thought this was a really like I had a blasted session, and you're like super easy to talk to. So thanks for letting me run my mouth.
Yeah, no. I mean, it's incredible value. So yeah, I'm you really have like breathed this like a really like exciting like breath of fresh air into this game for me, and I'm really excited to work on this stuff. So thank you.
Fuck yeah. All right, good luck, man. I'll be in touch. Cheers.
All right, yeah, see you.